ice packs, medical bills. We want to have this discussion about ICE agents being demolished. ICE can never be demolished. That is the branch of the government that we use to interact. We're not one world. We fought for this independence. That's why we're celebrating. It's not just for seeing beautiful sparkles, fireworks, artistry, paint sales, all the houses, bare feet calls, TV shows, PBS free funding. It was to signify the remembrance of what it cost millions of lives to fight for our supremacy, to being called Americans. So Trump fell on all of this partnering, just as the last line. The mob needed to have this forum shown. You have been defeated. We give no more protest for this lining of this courtroom, arrest, for creating drug addiction centers, nominees, normalizing what is killing our kids. Their systems are not even developed. That's why we have the drinking age up to 21. They're still growing. So you normalize setting up all these drug shops as sex shops, as tattoo parlors. No life for these children. No lives for our elderly persons. You're giving them drugs they don't even need. Most of them feel bad taking that medicine. When they get off the medicine, they start feeling better. So you're wasting time for drug centers, trying to cause arrest warrants to fold all of these nominees and confirmations, thinking you got hiring packages. Staying away from the law. Now, imagine 400 million people without a content that laws are to be securing this land, falling all the hardships that our men and women have to be confronted with, apprehending those in fraud support, that's sheltering. You're a female, you're in domestic violence situation, or you're a male in a domestic violence situation. Who are you going to call? Nobody has the gardening to apprehend another citizen. So you've just placed the enforcement on notice. If you don't enforce these laws, everybody will lose control. We'll all go crazy. So says the song. You have been shown through Bible's principle over and over again what happens when you lose the law. You crumble up and die. So who has self-control? If we had self-control, we would live and let live. I've also read that scripture for you, Romans the 13th chapter. Go there now and type in all is going. Every man for himself. So you all stop caring about life. If someone makes you angry, you just kill them. So you blast them and they blast you. Our kids are growing up without having any consideration for what is an institution of shutdown on this lawlessness. They're too young to know. Right now, all they can see is youth. You too will have the aging approach, and you will be stating what I knew then. If I could go back, I would change this or that. So, from the use of tracking all is gone wrong, we are seeing homelessness. But that's not causing alarms. That's not me. I'm in a healthcare sheltering. I have a house. I have a job every day. That's about to end. I said, quit playing. Quit playing with words. You may not get encryptions. Cryptocurrency is gone. The soul of all of our shoes, soul, Peruvian currency. La Soul, De La Soul, rap group. Our men and soldiers and women have to see you all lose your lives. And then nobody will want to shop, or will they want to stay on this call? That when it finally touches you, you're not okay. You've seen power outages all the time. You try to complain that you can find ways around the law. It's simply place, you reap what you sow. Angels can tear down all these blackouts. So you lose all your power generators, thinking that some kind of how you can stock up water. It can be poisoned with gases. You're thinking that you have a monopoly on trying to fold all that we see. So you shelter it. But the homeless should have risen the inquiries. Why are these people homeless? You can't get out of that situation. You need full shelter in order to take a bath, in order to have rest, so you can even go and find a job. You need monies to even get something to eat, to have the fuel necessary in your body just to stand up. Walking, talking around the subject. I said, you will be humbled to see in another man's shoe while you're in a formation to halt it all. I said, go out on the streets. Nobody's buying Tesla. In the year 2009 or 10, I can't really place the number, 2 cars were sold in China, practically given away. Why is Tesla trying to enforce they're going to create cars inside use of a tent? You wanted to line yourselves into our military background, into all of our houses as this communication. So when the oil raises, you get automatic payments for this Independence Day explosions. Car engines fail these calls. You are selling no such Fleetwood. That's why the group member died. So not just watching sprinkler systems on all houses or all federal buildings for false arrests was the intent of Independence Day. The FBI now has an ongoing capturing of perjury. They've captured and foiled a plot. History channels are shown as your freedom. What it cost. Now, campaigns for this 4th of July day is due. No one has a shopping spree, auto deposits, as mattress sales, security clearance sales. All the jail bonds are gone. So speaking of what was to become a taboo, you lose your jobs anyway. You have no income. The mob keeps up this front. Fake funding cannot support our lives. So jail bonds are gone. Speaking too long. So really what matters is black men. They've been killed. Those people lynched from 1882 to 1968. Write-in candidates was this called. Any black man that's ever ran for election, black man, write-in candidate. So you killed kids, women, and men. Now you want to make some kind of Justice for Victims Acts for campaign funding. To fill all 14,000, 14 billion, 14 trillion, 14 million Mexico City fallings. It's all called halted. I am not a man. I am no lynch mob. Mob D rap group. The mafia rap group. You all wake up from this voting access. This is madness that you race to kill off all of this life, killing innocent lives, trying to find theft a place while you're all downsized. Our citizens, men should be able to afford what they need to pursue a mate, a family, to secure their borders. But we're watching grown adult men, black and white, lose it all because you're not saying something. I said go out on these streets, one day proposition, claiming that we're to dance around the subject and allow any immigrant to control us. You're downsized to riding on public access. You can't get into your own cars and go in freedom. Everything is too expensive. So the cost, we lost lives trying to fight for this freedom. So we celebrated it. So you would never forget the heritage of this government. 1776, July the 14th. Is that called an amendment clause on the 14th? The amendment clause on the 14th only stated do not question the budget. It had nothing to do with migration. You were just simply deported. So there's no way to post any lay for all of this migration. It's not the law. I said you have no dental or medical benefits. So you're stripped from your life to freedom to produce happiness because you can't afford the medical bills. You're going to be sick. The mob knows that. So they've covered that market. You're going to get into trouble. They've cornered that market, made it an enterprise. They want their own jails, not the law. You don't get access into corruption filings as a domain. You are to apprehend all of these immigrants. Send all of the children back to Mexico. Mexico is the coverage. And then send all of the parents. That is the formation of ICE. The customs agent, are you proposing that nobody stands on the borders and protect what comes into the country? Anybody can bring a deadly virus. What is this call for shutting down our protection credit so that immigrants may stay here, downsize the lives of Americans? You're killing your own lives because you're at the helms of the mafia. However they choose to play, keeping you in slavery. I said, come out on these streets. I equipped you with no more calls. From here, everything slides downhill. Why is Russia, BP, why are all of these people suddenly good guys? They want the gas prices lowered. You didn't care when it was $120 per barrel. It's only $75. Because the more it rises, the more it shuts down. You have no codes into those calls. I am the sole owner. So I support this existence of fraud no more. And you lose your lives. I said so. Quit claiming that we've had this discussion and go out on the streets. Americans have not been shown in this discussion properly, according to our law and history. These judges are in a RICO violation to commit to perjury. You may not order this government to keep funding any document support as if Americans are to foot the bill. No more support to the homeless centers, $430 billion for all of these Puerto Ricans. They are all to vacate the premise and go back home under Puerto Rico's governance to shelter them from harm. Americans were to wake up only and to see we are never to travel this path. We offer security to all those countries abroad, not paying from each and every one of our houses. If I'm shut down, how do you get help? If we're shut down as a nation, how do we support anybody else's nation, free them from the mob taking over their governments? I said, have this discussion on the street. You go down far here. That's it. No more reconstructing. You are forced with looking at the homelessness. You are forced with looking at your extinction. You are forced with inputting the law back in its place. The laws are formed to keep consequences at bay. You choose to do fraud. You pay the consequences. We don't all suffer. I said I want all of these judges apprehended for fraud support to the mafia's organized crime. I said let go.